Morning, y'all. I'm Brett, and this morning I'm out in my potato patch. We're going to start harvesting some of our potatoes today. I'd like to go ahead and start harvesting a few of them as we go along through the season, harvest them a little early. Usually, when you harvest them early, you're going to get those smaller potatoes, not those big bakers if you're growing a baker variety or something like that. But potatoes can be eaten pretty much anywhere along the growing path, depending on the size that you're looking for. You may want to wait a little later in the season, but we want to go ahead and start harvesting some of them now, start using them for our dishes. It's Monday, so it's a great day to make a potato dish. And I want to get into several of the things about harvesting the potatoes. But first, we'll start off about how we planted them. And I planted these, I'd have to look back, but I believe it was about mid, maybe late February. Sometime around there is a great time to start planting your potatoes. Now, we've had several things this year that have been detrimental to our potatoes. Lots of rain. Lots of rain is great here in East Texas. It helps our crops grow real big. But this year we've had a lot of excessive rain. So one good thing about how we've planted them this way is it helps to deter some of that water. And the reason we don't want too much water on our potatoes is because if they're standing in water, they will start to rot on us, and we don't want that. And so I've been using here the hilling method, and you can't really see it uh, over here to the side. I've got some of them in grow bags that allow for good drainage as well. But the hilling method gets the potatoes up, allows the water to run in between there to get that out of the way. And so the second thing we did is I usually, when I'm growing them in the ground like this, I like to bring them up about 3 or 4 inches at least before I set my potato. Now, if you're growing in a grow bag like over here, I like to go at least 6 inches of soil underneath the potato where I plant the seed potatoes. And then we will fill up from there. But that gives it a good base that allows it to be above where the water level is, like where I'm standing here. And so most of the time, that's going to get us up above where we need to be to keep them drier and to help them grow better. And then as they grow, as the plants come up, about every 6 inches of height, we're going to just mound dirt. It's the mounding method, just like it sounds. We're just going to mound dirt over it. And that way, when the potatoes start to come up, we don't want them exposed to the sunlight. That's detrimental. First of all, they'll be out here where the bugs can eat them. Second of all, they get the sunlight. They'll start to get that greenish color you may have seen. Now, you know, that green color, some people think that it's a bad thing. It actually is a poison on the potato, but simple way to fix that, if you peel that green layer off the potato, if it's not just completely green, you're just fine. Peel that potato peel off, which you're probably going to do for most dishes anyways, and it will be perfectly edible in most cases. But then as we go along, we're going to heal up like I said, about every 6 inches growth. We're going to bring more dirt in on the stalk as it grows there. And I usually go about 18 inches deep. My bed here is about 18 inches deep. Most of your potato growth is going to occur in that first 6 to 18 inches of growing height. That's where most of your potato growth is going to occur. Now, I've seen some people build these boxes. They may have a box 4 foot tall where they just keep building it up and add more and more and more dirt. And you may get some potatoes up there in that height, but they're probably not going to be as big of a size or very many of them. Like a lot of your fruits, they have their particular area where they really like to put on their vegetables or whatever. And so keeping most of it focused into that area is going to be good for production. Now, your plant is going to come on up above that height, and you may be able to see back in this area. This is some of them that are still growing. I'm going to let these grow a couple more weeks. We're mid-May here in East Texas, and usually I would like to harvest most of my potatoes around the beginning of June. And as you can see, these plants are still growing back in here, and that's good. As opposed to this hill right here, you can see that the plants have died off, and that's another reason that we're harvesting today. So as the potatoes are growing, the plant's going to be coming up. The plant that's actually on top of the soil is going to be providing the nutrients down below the soil to grow the potatoes. And then around this time, which you may not be able to see back over in this area, but I'll show you in just a second, as the potato grows up, it will actually start to flower. Now, I think I had one potato plant of this whole row. I think there was 10 seed potatoes approximately in this row, and only one of them tried to put on a flower. Same thing with my grow bags over here. Only one of these potatoes actually tried to go to flower. Now I'm not sure what the condition is. It may be, uh, like I said, more water this year may have made them start to die back a little bit earlier. It could be some of the worms. We've got these woolly bear worms everywhere this year. Eating some of the growth may have helped make them die back a little bit sooner. But when they get to about this level, about 3 months in, they're going to produce a flower. So I've picked one here, which you probably can't see back in there. This is your potato flower. Now, if you allow this potato flower to keep growing, it is a pretty flower there, it will actually form a potato seed up here. Now, these are going to be very, very small. And most of the time, I like to pick these flowers off. I know when these flowers start to emerge that we're just probably 3 weeks or so out from a good harvesting time. So if I pick these flowers off, that will encourage it to continue to grow the size of the potato rather than trying to bloom and put on the seed at the top. These seeds, you probably do not want to eat them. They're really small. They're going to be really hard. You can actually grow a potato from these, but don't expect to plant these little bitty pebble-sized potatoes and 3 months later have a full-size potato. Usually from these, it's kind of like those onion starts you get at the store. Um, this season, it may grow to the size of a seed potato, and then next year you could plant it and get a full-size potato out of that one, possibly in 2 seasons. Not going to have that grow in 1 season from this one. Lot better option is to take our potatoes that we harvest, pick a few of the best ones that are about the size of the seed potatoes that we want to plant. We'll keep them for planting at a later date to get our next crop. But that is the way to go for the seed. Now next, like I said, when we planted about 10 potatoes down through here. You want to have at least a foot between them, maybe 18 inches at least. You don't want them potatoes being too bunched up and competing for those nutrients. The further you can get them apart, the better. You get them closer, you're probably going to end up with smaller potatoes or early dieback, which could be a reason for some people to experience this. But when it gets to be this point, after it fruits, you go a few more weeks, you're going to start to experience this dieback. And this dieback here, you don't have to wait for it to get completely to this point, but as you can tell, this plant here is no longer supplying nutrients down there growing our potatoes. So there's no reason to keep potatoes in the ground. They're probably going to just sit here and start to rot if we leave them any longer. We wish we could have a drier day to be harvesting them, but this is what we got. So we're going to go ahead and get these out of the ground so they can get some air drying and curative, and then hopefully we'll be able to enjoy them. We could enjoy them this evening, or we could air dry them on our rack and enjoy them for the next couple of months to come. So without further ado, let's get in here and see what we actually have below the ground. Hopefully we're going to be harvesting some potatoes out of here. So let's see. Hey, can you see me here? Okay. Let's just start. Get a couple of these plants out of the way. Sometimes, if you're lucky, you may pull up a couple of potatoes attached to the plant here. But I think these are a little far gone to be pulling up any of the potatoes attached to it. All right. Well, right there, that's one of the reasons. I've got a bag. I don't know if you can see it on the back end, but I've got a big fire ant nest at the back. I just pulled these up. Here comes some fire ants. That could be part of the reason why we're getting some of this dieback a little bit earlier than I expected. And I'm hoping the fire ants haven't gotten into our crop down below. But let's just go see what we've got. I'm going to use my hands. If you're using a shovel or a pitchfork or whatever to get your potatoes, be very careful. You don't want to stab them. Once you pierce them potatoes, they'll start going bad a lot faster. Probably if you do come up with some that are pierced, you want to go ahead and use them early. But so using your hands, if you can, if you got good loose soil like this, will help preserve some of them. And this here, I've been working on this for a couple years. It's still not where I want it to be, but this is primarily well-aged chicken manure and leaf mulch that we've been breaking down the last 2 seasons. So it's starting to get a little better. It's got a good high nitrogen content, which is good for growing the tops. But we're still trying to get the soil a little bit better for the next season. So let's go down here and see what we got. Well, this is not a good sign. Not finding anything here. Oh, there we go. Oh, yep, I told you. There's ants in there. Make sure they're not covered up with feet. And they aren't. Okay. So here's where our stalk is coming down to. And look at that. Look at that good potato. Hopefully we're going to have many more in there. Y'all have to pardon me, I'm being attacked by those ants. But hopefully we're going to have several more of this. Now this is about the size, maybe a little bit bigger than you would usually want for your seed potato. It's a good edible size. This is what we're looking to produce. Now when you go buy seed potatoes at the feed store, you're going to usually get them for about the price of the potatoes at the store on a good sale. But the thought is, first of all, no chemicals on these. Second of all, one seed potato may produce as much as a bag of those ones at the store, so your return is going to be much better flavor and everything with these potatoes. And so hopefully we will get a good return. A good return is around 5 potatoes, 6 potatoes per seed potato. Sometimes we've gotten as many as 10 or 12, and you may get a few of these and then some smaller ones that you can use later. But it's always a good return when you're growing them for yourself. And like I said, you can't beat the flavor of your homegrown vegetables. So I'm gonna let y'all go for now so I can dig through the rest of this, try to get around these ants, try to get some of these potatoes out before it rains again. But I hope y'all enjoyed that video. Whenever I get to the next harvesting, maybe I'll make another one when I'm not eating up so much, so we can see what the return that we got was. But if you did, please, if you like this video, please like it down below. Leave me a comment if you can. And if you haven't already, subscribe, and we'll catch y'all next time.